Welcome, everybody, to the Vessel Church podcast.
Hey.
My name is Liana Shelton. I'm a worship leader here at Vessel Church, and I'm joined, as always,
By Moshe the Plant.
by Moshe the Plant. Guys, look at how big Moshe got.
And Alex Jordan.
And I guess Alex is here, too. It's really more impressive about Moshe.
That is true. He's grown.
If people missed that first episode where we talked about the plant,
Well, now they know.
they're never going to know.
Oh, you have to go
The
back.
plant's name is Moshe, which is the correct pronunciation of Moses. Anyway, today we are discussing a sermon from our lead pastor, our senior pastor. You're our lead pastor.
Somebody
Oh my
is.
gosh, somebody's our pastor. Our senior pastor, Daniel Macaluso, who did a sermon called The Joy of Freedom, coming right on the heels
Yes.
of our country's 250th birthday. Just so exciting.
Yeah.
Alex, how was your 4th of July?
It was amazing. It was so much fun. It was Daxon's first out of the womb. So
Out
it
of
was
the 4th of July.
it was exciting to have him here in the flesh. And
Dressed as a hot dog.
dressed as a hot dog. Yes, that was exciting.
Yeah,
And
if you guys weren't with us on the 4th of July, Alex and Lydia dressed as Uncle Sam and Lady Liberty, and
Had
they
to.
put Dax in a hot dog costume.
America's favorite cuisine.
It was really iconic. I'm not going to lie to you. At one point, there was fireworks, and they were running around with a full-sized American flag. Lydia was
epic.
drinking a Coca-Cola out of a real glass Coca-Cola bottle. It was Americana at its finest.
Yes, exactly.
It was
that
wonderful.
The goal. That was the goal.
I didn't eat nearly enough hot dogs. I had
No.
one that
No.
day, and it didn't feel like enough.
There was so much other good food.
There was so much good food.
Yeah.
It was so fun. It was really wild to think
Take me back.
our country is only 250 years old.
I know, right?
It feels like it's a lot, but it's actually not at all in
It's-
comparison to a lot of other nations, which
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah, that is incredible. But it was a
very
fun holiday,
exciting.
fun to celebrate. Everyone had a good time. Everyone was happy and safe and full.
Amen.
You know, they had their
We had a
fill.
lot of food.
Yeah.
It was great. There was a dirty soda bar that was fun. Very fun addition this year. We hope you had a lovely and safe 4th of July,
Yes.
and that you had all the hot dogs that you want and you saw really good fireworks. We hope you enjoy that.
At least those things.
At least those things, just that. But we're really excited to get into the sermon today. This was a really fun, very patriotic, but really focused on our personal freedom with God, right?
Yes.
And the sermon was inspired by the Song of Ascent, Psalm 126. We've actually covered this one this year. I believe JT did the sermon on this one, I think, for the Songs for
did.
the Way Home, right?
Yeah.
I remember that being a really good sermon. So this was kind of like a spiritual cousin to that sermon, I would
call it
say.
that.
We'll
Yeah,
call
sure.
it that. But it was reminding me of Songs for the Way Home, and that this is a psalm about the Jews being freed of the 70 years in Babylonian captivity. And that really the point was that even in trying times, there's a larger plan in action from God, right?
Right.
And he shared a lot of really cool things. Especially, I'm always fascinated by the proofs that Danny talks about in the sermons. Specifically, he talked about this archaeological proof called the Cyrus cylinder, which was really fascinating. That was made by King Cyrus, right,
Yeah.
in his era, and literally documented the 70 years of captivity for the Jews and the fact that they were then let go to go
Right.
rebuild their temple.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. Always love a good proof for the Bible.
Yeah.
You're pretty into that too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love the apologetic stuff, the archaeological proofs, and anything that really supplements your faith. Looking at other non-biblical authors who were writing
Yeah.
around that time, documenting and ultimately preserving the history of Jesus's life here on earth, or even pre-Jesus. Looking at the Old Testament archaeological proofs like the
Yeah.
Dead Sea Scrolls and all that sort of stuff. It's really cool.
That's really cool. Do you have a favorite resource for looking at apologetics, or do you have an apologetics Bible or things like that, or is it kind of things that you kind of come across? Because I feel like apologetics are one of those things that if you don't know how to look for them, they're kind of hard to find.
Sure, yeah. Like,
but-
where are you going to go? Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have an apologetics Bible. I have
cool.
I have a chronological Bible that's really cool, and
that's
so
cool.
that dives into apologetics as they come up through the Old and New Testament.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
What
there's always
translation is it?
the NLT.
Ooh, see, I love the NLT.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh,
It was
that's
It
tempting.
was actually a gift from our senior pastor.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's got to be, oh my gosh, if you get in the weeds with Chronicles and Kings and Psalms,
It's
oh my
really
gosh.
cool because it it overlaps too. So
Yeah.
in the Old
Oh,
Testament and New
cool.
Testament, if like two books were written at the same time,
Yeah.
it'll have them in parallel. So like reading through the Gospels is really fun because you'll have, usually it's 3 of the 4 Gospels will be in parallel.
Yeah.
Matthew, Mark, and Luke will have parallels. John tends to not have as many parallels with the
Yeah.
other 3, but yeah, it's really fun because then you get to see each one of those accounts and kind of seeing their slightly different storytelling style.
Yeah.
Mark's usually just straight facts. This is what happened. Luke's
Yeah.
got a little bit more like the history, and then Matthew's got a little bit more of like the details.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool.
That's really cool. I gotta imagine too, like there's so many stories in the Bible that like overlap, right? And like have like it's the same thing but different perspectives or kind of different takes on it.
Yeah, really fun, especially to your point.
Yeah.
1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Yeah.
Like those all tend to kind of weave in and out.
Yeah.
So you'll be like reading through a story and then you'll be reading that same story again. And you'll be like, wait a second, I was trying to get to like 1st Kings chapter 4, but it's like 30 pages in the future, so
there's a lot that went on before then,
if you're trying to read through a book, it is not the Bible. If you're trying to like go through a story chronologically, it's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a while there, it was like my go-to Bible. And then there would be times where I'm like, I cannot find this chapter in the Bible because it's like broken
It's
up.
all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Oh my God, Psalms has just got to be everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just all
they're
over
just
the Bible.
interwoven throughout the entire Old Testament. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I also love, I know our senior pastor talks about this a lot, but Expedition Bible on YouTube.
Yeah.
Does some really cool explorations
Super
of things.
cool stories. And the videography and everything like that. They're great detail.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's also just really cool if you're like studying history that's not to do with the Bible and then something kind of comes up.
Yeah.
That's so scriptural or just you're like, oh my gosh, that's right in there.
Right.
Really, really cool. So that was a side note about apologetics. Sorry, everyone.
No.
Keep with us.
Good notes.
But really excited to dive into the content of this. Because obviously he talked about Psalm 126, but he also brought up Jeremiah 29, which is a scripture that I think it lives in the Instagram bios of a lot of people, and they don't really know the context, right?
It's so true.
It's that, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, right? And he talks about bringing them out of captivity, right? Bringing them back from all the nations that he scattered them. But that the context of that is talking about captivity, and it's talking about 70 years of really hard times for the Jews. And that sometimes the joy of our freedom comes at the cost of a long time of not being in our freedom, right? And that he says that, if you seek me with all of your heart, you will find me in that passage. And that obviously we know that Jesus echoes that quite a bit in his preaching, but that it goes on in, like, he went on to talk about Luke 4, where Jesus said that he is there to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, right? And that we have this real captivity, right? This like Old Testament type of captivity. And then we see this new captivity, right? That happens when we are captive to our sin, right? And that we get to have salvation from it. Sorry, I did a lot of talking. Do you have anything?
No, this is good. I'm listening.
Okay, cool.
Active listening. Taking notes.
Take notes. And then my Dollar Tree journal. But that really what our joy in our freedom should be is the fact that we were allowed to rebuild our temples. Like the Jews were allowed to rebuild their temple back in the day. They were able to go home and they were free to be able to rebuild kind of their relationship with God, that we are able to rebuild our lives, that we are able to become new creations. And it's a really interesting parallel to talk about, that we are kind of like, our life is our temple to God, and that we get to build our relationship with him as if it was that, right?
Yeah.
And we get freedom from what we were before. Sorry, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, it's all really good stuff. And it is one of those passages, one of those sermons that's pretty self-explanatory, but the parallels there, to your point, from Psalm 126 and Jeremiah 29, and then also all the way through into the New Testament and looking at what Jesus is offering us as a new creation, as a new temple, as a, reborn again Christian, to the extent of we are rebuilding our life under this new freedom. And we are no longer slave to sin. We are no longer slave to the things that once kept us captive, but now having this new beginning. It's really cool. And then even just kind of coupling that on our 4th of July weekend, understanding that there is, there's so much to be understood with sacrifice and freedom, and all of those things come at a cost. And so, when we remember our Independence Day, it's the purpose is to remember all of the people who laid down their lives so that we could have the freedoms that we do in this great country. And wherever you fall politically or socially or economically or whatever, like people are trying to come to this country from all over the world because it's still a land of opportunity, and there are still a lot of liberties and freedoms that, even though it may not be perfect and everybody may not agree all the time, this is it's a great place to live. And so remembering that from an Independence Day standpoint, but then also taking that to a spiritual lens and saying that, looking at Psalm 126 and the heart that these people would have as they would ascend the mountain, as they would come up to Jerusalem for the festivals, and, being able to reflect on all that their country had been through, all of their people had been through, all that their ancestors had been through, for the sake of them to be able to celebrate at their temple in Jerusalem. Amen. And just to kind of recount and recall all the sacrifices that were made, the time in isolation, the time in exile, the time in Babylon, the time in Egypt, the time in the desert, and to be able to know that all of those things were culminating to this moment for them in Psalm 126, right? The songs of ascent. Amen. And, it really does have a great parallel to how we can live our life every single day, that we should be people that as we go through our days and we, whether it's getting in your car in the morning or walking into your office or going to the grocery store, like those are things that we get to do, not things that we have to do. And all of those things can be met with that same level of gratitude for the freedoms that we have, for the life that we have, for the opportunities that we have to, whether it be share Jesus's love, his message, his mission, or even just be that, positive light in our daily life. But that these are the things that we should be reflecting on as we, make our own ascent or sing our own song or remember what Jesus had done for us. And I think that was so even, going into, like some of his points there, but just a really great parallel concept between what's going on here and then ultimately even what we got to celebrate this past weekend with the 4th of July. Yeah.
No, and I love it. And Psalm 126 is one of my favorite passages in the Bible, that it says that like they became like people who dream. And thinking about like when you're in captivity, you can't dream. Like all you can do is survive, basically.
Yes.
And that it was, for some of these people, maybe the first time in their entire life that they got an opportunity to be excited and that they had hope and possibility in their life. And very cool in relation to our Independence Day, right? Like that, we were a nation of dreamers, right? That it started with people who wanted freedom, but also wanted to be able to have freedom of religion, freedom of enterprise, freedom of kind of everything, that they could dream of a new nation that was completely fresh, right? Amen. Which is so cool. But it was making me think of in the current context, right? Like we aren't we're not enslaved to a nation right now, but before we're saved, we're enslaved to sin, right? Mm-hmm. And he shared Colossians 1, where it says that the thing that we get to be free from, besides just being like saved and being forgiven of our sin, is free from accusation. Mm. And that really hit me, that like very strongly, that it's not just being forgiven of your sin, it's being free of the accusation of it, of the guilt of it, of the kind of consistent stain on your life. Mm. And that I think part of why you can dream is because you're free of getting constantly accused of the things that you're doing wrong or who you're not, or, all those things. Sure. And that because we're new creations, he gives us the opportunity to be kind of that blank slate to start over.
Absolutely.
Which is really cool. So Danny had 3 points that were really great. They were 3 R words. It was remember what he has done, rejoice in your salvation, and reach someone else with the gospel. That so much of the Old Testament scriptures were just remember the things I've done for you. Remember the way I've brought you out of captivity, right? And we have that in the New Testament too. Like remember Jesus, remember what he's done for you. Mm-hmm. Rejoice in your salvation, that it should be a happy thing, that we should be psyched out of our minds about it, if you will. And that because of that, we should go and want to reach someone else with the gospel.
Amen.
That we should be able to go and free other people.
Yeah.
It was making me think of this is a very historical thing, but like the Underground Railroad, that freed slaves would go back, and essentially Harriet Tubman went in and saved
Over
people
and over again,
and over again to go and save people in the way that she was, and she freed so many slaves in that time. And how dedicated she was to it and how dangerous it was. But that's kind of the attitude we should have, right? That because we're joyful in our own freedom, we should want other people to experience
Just sharing that
as well.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you had anything to share. Sorry, no, I just went on a whole tangent.
No, this is good. This is good.
But that free from accusation, I don't know. I feel like that is like the easiest way that Satan gets most people is feeling accused.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I felt weird about this, or, oh, I felt kind of guilty. I was thinking about like, well, who am I? Because I did all these things in the past, right?
Yeah.
And that we get to have a complete freedom from that, which is really exciting.
Yeah, no, it is so true. And I think like, again, looking at some of those Old Testament parallels with whether it be exile or in slavery, banishment, all that sort of stuff. Like those are feelings of isolation, of not being worthy, of, not being in control, all that sort of stuff. And, one of the names the Bible gives to Satan is the great accuser. And so, I think you're totally right. Like with the accusations, it definitely can be a foothold or a doorway to more. And, understanding that we have the opportunity to be freed from those things if we live under the grace of Jesus, and that comes through, making Jesus Lord over our lives and really committing to his teachings, his Bible, his lessons, understanding that it's more than just saying, yeah, that's a good word, or
right.
Like, oh yeah, no, Jesus was a good guy,
but
really understanding what it means when he calls us to trade our slavery to sin to being slave to the gospel, being slave to his righteousness, and again, making Jesus Lord. I think it's powerful, but it is, it comes with that choice, and the accusations are never ending. And ultimately, around every corner. But that freedom is so relieving, because to be able to say that you can lay that down and move forward, and to truly live with a new freedom, to have that weightlessness, to have that guiltlessness of like, I want other people to share in this because of how it's made me feel. Like that, to me, that's true revelation of what Jesus' freedom, what the freedom in Christ really means. Yeah. So.
No, that's really good. I had a really cool conversation in fellowship after the sermon, actually, with a brother, and we were talking about how this sermon kind of reminded him of like, he was thinking of like, if God was going back through my life and was trying to remind me of all the things that like I experienced, like what would be the benchmark things that he would remind me of? Yeah. And so he was like going back through all these like moments in his faith, and like where he's been and different like kind of events. And he was talking a lot about COVID and how he's like, wow, we really came out of that. Like we were stuck in that for a long time. And he's like, I've so quickly forgotten how grateful I should be just to be out of my house. He's like, at that time, all we wanted to be is free from this disease that was going around, right? This virus. And he's like, I so quickly forgot about it, you know? And there was a song on the lineup that we used to sing during our COVID times, like we'd put on our online services. And he's like, I got hit with this moment of like, oh my God, I remember where I was the first time I heard that song and how much of a different spot I was in. And it was honestly making me think a lot about like, you know, what would be the things that God would remind me of? Like of all those things to be grateful for. And, the things that I have freedom from now, or like things that were like difficult that you came through. Right. And I don't know, I just thought it was a really interesting, like kind of thinking exercise maybe, or just a prayer exercise to go through and think of those things. Like, you know, obviously we don't have a Babylonian captivity, but we were stuck inside for like 5 years and fearing for our lives
and have captivities of our own. Yeah, for sure.
We all do. So, I was inspired by that. And I was like, I kind of want to I want to start doing that more frequently, you know? But one of the things we're very excited to be free of.
The
Eastern Hills Mall.
Grateful for our
new building
and our temporary home.
Administrator Alex, would you like to
thank you for letting us be there for the time
We're
that we
so
were.
grateful. We are so grateful. We are also so grateful to go
Give
somewhere
thanks.
permanent.
Give thanks.
We're very, very, very grateful. Do you want to give us an update on our building for those?
Yeah.
Who don't
So
know?
we've closed on our new property, which is amazing, and we are just working through some tweaks, updates. We'll have to have the town come through because we have to. There's all like the clerical and logistical stuff that we have to do. So we're hopeful that in the next few weeks we'll be able to have our launch date and our grand opening scheduled, and
So exciting.
So yeah, in due time.
Guys, we can't wait for you to see it. It's beautiful in there.
It's gonna be awesome.
And you know what? It's ours. That's the best thing about it.
It's very cool.
It's a place we can call our own, which is super exciting.
It's very cool. I'm excited to be able to make some memories there. I'm excited for the youth ministries to be able to make memories, for us to be able to praise in our new space, and there's just a lot of really cool things on the horizon. So
yeah,
I'm very excited.
It's really cool. Years ago now, we did a prayer and fasting chain to find a permanent home.
Yeah.
And at the time, it seemed like, oh, that didn't do much, but it was actually slowly working in the background. God was moving, and I had a little prayer box that was dedicated to just the building. And like getting to go through those prayers now that we have a spot was really inspiring.
Amen.
To like think about at that time. It felt like that was such an impossibility.
Sure.
All the things that were on that list of prayers. And some things were like dumb stuff, like I hope it has air conditioning, and we're gonna put that in. It's not a big deal. But,
it doesn't right now. So.
It doesn't. We're working on that. But like all the things that were like really important, like a great location, a place that felt like home. Some place that was structurally sound, that had a green space and a parking lot that was safe and easy. Like all of those things God had. Like he just gave us, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
And as grateful as we are for the mall, I do feel like our time there is
absolutely
is definitely coming to an end. And
we knew it was limited when we first signed that lease agreement all those years ago.
It was our desert.
The evolutions it was going to take over our tenure there.
I did not think we were going to move out of Suite A12.
Yeah, I had a fun conversation with somebody recently, and they were telling me that back in like 2021, 2022, they had a little kiosk in the mall. And I was inviting them out to church, and I was like, hey, you should come. We just bought a new building, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, what's the name of the church? And I was like, oh, we're Vessel Church. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, you guys got a space. He's like, that's so cool. He's like, I used to have a kiosk right outside of your church space when you were inside the mall. He's like, that's so cool to hear you guys like found a place to go. And so it was this really cool full circle moment.
That is so cool.
Again, there were some positives to being in the mall. We met Larry at
the Dipson. And shout out Larry.
And we got to enjoy the benefits of Larry Corn and the relationship.
He would give us free popcorn. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's the man. Larry is the man. He still hooks us up. We do great events at Dipson Theater. and the drive-in, everything like that. Yeah. So Larry's awesome. But just all those different relationships we got to make during that time, and how many people walked past that space and what otherwise would have never seen or heard of the church. So it was really cool.
Gave us exactly what we need. Tracy did a Beautiful Creations devotional on manna, and she was like, God gave the Israelites exactly what they needed. They were out there grumbling, and they got exactly what they needed. As much as they wanted, as much as they needed, which was really cool. And sometimes awesome. I think about the mall space, and I'm like, manna. It's our manna.
Yeah,
it's our
manna from heaven.
It's manna from heaven. But that's so exciting. And before we move to our new space, I know we've been talking about it a lot, but I think it might be over by the time this podcast comes out.
Oh no,
the blood drive.
Oh yeah, that will have been Sunday.
Yeah, by the time of this recording, the blood drive will have happened. If you didn't get to participate and you're listening to this now, we encourage you, find a local blood bank to give to. Connect Life, especially if you're in the Buffalo area, is an amazing organization. They all the blood that is given goes right back to the community, which is really exciting. They're lovely. Their phlebotomist team is really sweet. And we really hope that we had a good turnout.
I can't speak in future tense, but it's shaping up to be a great event.
Be good. We had a really good time.
We have
last
a handful
year.
of slots left, so that's cool.
Great.
But we'll put it out on social media, so hopefully you'll have seen those posts before you listen to this podcast. And if not, turn your notifications on.
Yes.
Make sure to subscribe and follow.
Yes.
Leave us a comment on Spotify.
Or wherever you're listening to our podcast.
Shout out Ryan Fonzie. He did in fact say "Go Sabres."
Let's go Sabres. So did Al Hammond's.
Oh, nice.
Or maybe it might have been Andrea. I don't know if they share an account.
Share an account?
It's A Ham.
One of the two of them.
A.Ham.
It could actually be any of the Hammonds.
It could have been Alexander Hamilton.
Oh my goodness.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Well, I'm not throwing away my shot, ladies and gentlemen, and this is my chance to wrap up. So
if you want to be in the room where it happens, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being here with us, guys. We're so grateful to be able to share. We really hope that this is something that continues to help grow your faith and, maybe just supplements all the other stuff that we're doing here at Bethel Church. So, be sure to come on by 4545 Transit Road for the time being, hopefully 111 Youngs Road in the near future. Be praying that we can get everything up and running and hopefully in our, new space for good in the next few weeks here or early August, maybe. Put that out there as a feeler. We love you guys as always.
Love you. I may not live to see our glory, but I will gladly share the fight. And when our children tell our story, they'll tell the story of tonight. It's really hard to say lyrics, not sing them. Go Bills. I definitely botched that.
That was awesome.
That sucked.